So as often happens, I'm going to move this music stand back a little. Camera lines, you know. One day I looked at the video of Sunday and all I saw was the back of a music stand. You couldn't see me at all. It was Kyle, and he had the thing cranked up to just above my head. It's a great view. You can hear this voice from somewhere. Anyway. So our title today, You Can't Disconnect from Life, comes from something written by our founder, Ernest Holmes. In a little book he wrote called This Thing Called Life, he wrote, "Never think you can live disconnected from that which is life. If you wish to call this conscious union with life religion, well and good, for it is the essence of every religion. If you wish to call conscious union with the wholeness of things spirituality, well and good, for it is the very essence of spirituality." In another little book, he also wrote that the first principle of life, which we've been talking about, is oneness. And the first performance of life is multiplying itself without dividing itself. Life must be one, he said, and that one, in order to be expressed, must be many. But the many, in order to exist, must live in the one. We are one while we are many, and since each of us is a part of the whole, if we seek to destroy each other, we only ultimately hurt ourselves. This is the great lesson of life. We can't disconnect from it. Everything we do affects everything else, and everything someone else does affects us in turn. And you know, one of the analogies that I use a lot is the ocean. Like we're all waves on this ocean, seemingly individualized, but still all ocean. And the ocean is what gives us form and shape in life. And if the ocean is full of chemicals and poison and plastic, guess what? So are we, right? And if the soil that our food grows on is filled with pesticides and poisons, then we eat it and we wind up filled with the same stuff. We can't disconnect from it. And some of us are very fortunate. We buy organic or we grow our own, but around the world, most people cannot do that. More importantly, there's no place on earth that can escape the rain and the wind and the currents that bring what gets dumped over there everywhere. We can't separate from life. And some days that seems like really bad news, but it is the really, really, really good news, actually. We can't separate ourselves from that power and presence that gives rise to the many. We can't separate ourselves from the current under us, the power of the ocean that is supporting us. We are that power in form. We're it. What we do, our words and our thoughts and our actions, when done in co-creation with that power, in a spirit of being the place it shows up, brings new life wherever we go, right? Wherever we go consciously, we change things. Because all of it begins in our own consciousness. It begins right here. There's an author named Dwayne Elgin. He wrote a book called Voluntary Simplicity years ago, but he also wrote a really interesting book called The Living Universe. And I just read an article he wrote, and this thing leaped out at me. He said, in the industrial era paradigm, which is the paradigm we're moving out of, we are no more than biological beings, ultimately separate from others and the rest of the universe. The new findings from physics, however, reveal that we are intimately connected with the entire cosmos. With the entire cosmos. Our actual identity or experience of who we are is vastly bigger than we thought. We are moving from a strictly personal consciousness, he said, to a conscious appreciation of ourselves as integral to the cosmos, which is mind-boggling. How can I, this little me, be integral to the cosmos? Yet we are. Every one of us is. He quotes Brian Swim, who is a marvelous physicist and writer. Brian Swim is explaining that the intimate sense of self-awareness that we have bubbles up each moment, but it is rooted in the originating activity of the universe. We are all arising together at the center of the cosmos, he said. We are all arising together at the center of the cosmos. Whew! Makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. We thought, said Elgin, that we are no bigger than our physical bodies, but we're discovering that we are beings of cosmic dimension, part of the flow of continuous recreation of the cosmos. By becoming aware of that stream of life in our direct experience, we become conscious of our connection with the living universe. Becoming aware of that stream of life that's always moving into us and through us and out through our words and our acts and our energy and all that we are. Beings of cosmic dimension. Whew. You know, Elgin says that that's new physics, but it's really what the great mystics have known forever, right? They've all known that we are integral parts of this vast, infinite universe. The rest of us are finally evolving to the point where we could recognize a conscious experience of that connection when it hit us, right? We're finally evolving enough to begin to understand what it is that flows through us, this stream of life. We're finally evolving enough to understand that we have the power to shape and direct the flow of that life. We're finally evolving enough that we can accept responsibility for the way that we do direct it and shape it. As we create larger, fuller, freer, more wonderful lives for ourselves, we're beginning to understand it's incumbent upon us to make sure that the larger, fuller, freer life we live doesn't impinge on anybody else's larger, fuller, freer expression of life. Holmes said we can not only embrace ourselves, somehow our arms must find themselves around the shoulders of all humanity. It's not just us, it's everybody, right? We stand in this together. We can't disconnect from life. And sometimes we try, I think more out of ignorance than out of anything else, but sometimes out of greed or fear or desperation, we try to believe that our actions don't have any impact on anybody else, or that we are an island unto ourselves. And our society's been acting that way for a long time. Like what we do doesn't have an impact on the rest of the world, but the result is starting to show itself everywhere. The poor are poorer and the rich are richer. You know, the water's poisoned not only in Flint, but all over the place. Did you know that the Ohio River was the largest recipient of industrial pollution in the United States last year? They dump a lot of stuff in that river. Peru, Indonesia, Zambia, it's all over the world, you know, and it's all because of this idea that we can have cheaper computers and clothes and food and cars and greener lawns, and it won't hurt anybody else. But now we're starting to see that what we do to get rid of the weeds on our lawn might have an impact very far away. Very far away. I could go on and on, but what I really want to talk about is where's the power that we have to change that? Where's the power that we have as manifestations of God, of Spirit, to be different in our world? And I keep coming back to something that Ernest Holmes said in his final sermon by the sea. He said, "Show me someone who is for something and against nothing, and I will show you the lover of my soul." Whew, that's tough, isn't it? The second part especially. Against nothing. That is very, very, very hard to do. But that is the place when we are for something and against nothing, where we stand connected to all that exists, where we're for life and against nothing. But most of us have been raised up to, whenever something doesn't go well, to look for something to be against. Who did this to me, right? Who caused this? So the first place we have to do our work is to pull ourselves back from that edge into the place where we're standing for what we believe in and against nothing. We have to remind ourselves that there isn't any power in being against anything, right? The universe just responds with more. Whatever you give energy to, whatever kind of energy, the universe just says, okay, you must really like that. Here's some more. The power lies in aligning ourselves and standing for what we want to see in the world. We have to forgive the person or institution or thing or situation for everything we've held against it or her or him. We have to forgive ourselves over and over for lapsing into that kind of thinking. It's really natural, especially in an election year, that we would lapse into that place over and over. So we have a lot of self-forgiveness to do. The first place of our work is simply to release ourselves from the bonds of standing against anything. Against those who pull the strings. Against the ones who decided not to add the anti-corrosive to the water in Flint because it was expensive. Not against those who burn the rainforest to raise beef more cheaply. Not even the ones who raise puppies in puppy mills. No one. We can't hold ourselves against anyone. The easiest way for me to do this, and I have to continuously haul myself back to this place, is to remember that every single one of us is in the process of evolution. And sometimes we get stuck. And the people who raise dogs in puppy mills are really stuck. They are. People who think it's okay to make obscene amounts of money on the backs of other people are stuck. They're moving up the spiral just as everybody is, but they get stuck sometimes because they don't know, or they won't let themselves see the truth. So all that I can do is pay attention in my own consciousness to my own evolution and continue in my prayer work for those who are stuck, right? And to align my consciousness, to align my actions and my words with my evolving consciousness, not with the stuck places. All I can do is speak up and say, it is not acceptable that you saved $27.30 and that savings let the pipes in Flint, Michigan corrode and poison children. That is not acceptable. We can't do that anymore. We have to have a regulation that says we can't do that anymore. All I can do is, vote for people who will create a safer, healthy world. What I can do is spend my money and my energy supporting the world I want to see. Supporting the world I want to see. I can be for life and against nothing. I can be for all of life in my thoughts, in my prayers, in my words, in my actions. We can keep all of those stuck people in our prayer work, and we can become aware of the effects of our decisions. The effects of our decisions all down the line. How do our choices affect others? How does my choice to do something affect the rest of life? We start to think about all of the things we use that are made out of coal and petroleum. And maybe we find different things to use instead. Maybe we don't support, hate to say it, polyester anymore. Polyester has wonderful qualities, but it's made from coal and petroleum. And maybe we ought to do something different there, right? Maybe we ought to do, there's a fiber called lyocell, tencel, that's made out of the stuff that comes out of paper factories, the leftover pulp, and they spin it and make cloth out of it. And it's a closed loop process with no poison involved. Maybe we should start using that instead. Maybe we could take care of the food decisions that we make. For ones that are, we think that we don't make a difference. But I've been buying organic produce for like 25 years. And it's people like us who went out and hunted it down and bought it that have resulted in the fact that now you can buy organic produce everywhere. Even in Walmart, right? The more decisions we make in that in the direction of the world we want to see, the more we bring it about. Sometimes it takes a long time. I remember for a long time you could only find like really sad broccoli and wilted carrots, but now there's a whole bunch of great organic produce to shop from in almost every store. I remember people saying electric cars were never going to happen. I see them all over the place, don't you? You know, whatever it is we do. And big things happen. I just found this in my email today. It's called the Conscious Business Declaration, a new standard of business in the 21st century. As a global community of business leaders, it says, we are committed to developing the awareness and skills needed to consciously evolve our organizations in alignment with these principles. We are one with humanity and all life. Woo. Business and all institutions are integral parts of a single reality, interrelated, interconnected, and interdependent. In line with this reality, the purpose of business is to increase economic prosperity while contributing to a healthy environment and improving human well-being. I'm down with this. Business must go beyond sustainability and the philosophy of do no harm to restoring the self-renewing integrity of the earth. Business must operate with economic, social, and ecological transparency. Business must behave as a positive and proactive member of the local and global communities in which it operates. Business that sees, honors, and celebrates the essential, interconnected nature of all life, maximizes human potential, and helps create a world that works for all. It's like, who wrote this? I love it. When aligned with oneness, business is the most powerful engine on earth for creating prosperity and flourishing for all. Wow. So we could start asking people why, to align with this kind of idea, with this conscious business declaration, and we could start supporting businesses that did with our thoughts and our prayers and our actions and our buying decisions. Wow. We could start doing all kinds of things for the world we want to see, not against anything, but for upholding in our consciousness and our actions for a world that works for everyone. I heard a little story the other day that I thought was so sweet, that reminds us that even our tiniest decisions have far-reaching ramifications, some of which we may never see, but they happen nonetheless. There's a man in Raleigh, North Carolina, who was diagnosed with ALS, and he's sort of gone out of his way since the diagnosis to just do whatever his heart tells him to do. And there were two little girls sitting next to him at the donut shop. So he gave each one of them $50 and said, do something kind. And they were like, $50? Whoa. Well, a couple of weeks later, he got an email from one of the girls with pictures of it attached. These girls' dad had been doing some volunteer work with an organization that worked with a village in Sierra Leone that was trying to eradicate the Ebola virus from their area, and they'd succeeded. So these little girls took their $100 and bought a feast for the entire village in thanks and celebration. I mean, they were like 7 and 9, And so the villagers sent back all these pictures, and the little girl emailed it to the guy and said, here's what we did with your money, sir. It was amazing. He got to know that fast that he had touched a village across the world in that way. We don't always get to know what the ramifications of our actions are, but they always have them. And anything that's done with that kind of heart, that kind of, I am going to be kind to you today, knowing and trusting that you are going to be kind to someone else, it just ripples all the way out. And when we make a careful decision about buying something, remembering not only we who might wear it, but the people who grew what it's made out of, and the people who processed that, and the people who made the clothing. And we go, and you can't. The only way you can stay ignorant of everything is to just like never turn on a computer and look. But you can also become very, very aware of those companies that are supporting oneness. Those companies who are supporting a world that works for everyone. And we can shop with them. We can pray for the others. We can uphold in our consciousness the transformation of all life. We can uphold in our consciousness words and actions that move us into alignment with a world that works for everyone. The power's in our hands. It's in our hands. And so let us in our minds see, the world flourishing. The animals in the ponds everywhere, and the birds in the gardens of our great-grandchildren, and the people in Sierra Leone and Pakistan and China breathing clean air and celebrating good health. And let us know in our prayers and our thoughts and our contemplations that this world is becoming a reality now. People are actually taking the Conscious Business Declaration into their companies and starting to do business that way. How fabulous! How fabulous. Let us align our words and thoughts and actions with that vision of kindness and hope and joy and expansion and love and oneness, and then back them up with our actions. Let's create together that world that is beautiful, that is abundant, where there's enough for all, where it works and everybody knows how it works, starting right now and right here. So right now I invite you to just join me in consciousness as we remember that there is only one. There is only one of us here, one life, one mind, one infinite power, one eternal, unconditional love. We call it by many names: Spirit, God, the Creator, the universe. Whatever we call it, its nature is love, good, beauty, truth, health, abundance, prosperity, joy. And we can recognize it everywhere, starting right where we are. It is that spark out of the very core of our being. And it is the power that moves through us to think our thoughts, to move our bodies, to cause us to continue up that evolutionary spiral. And that power is everywhere, in everything we see, in all life, in every person, every animal, every blade of grass, even every grain of sand and every rock, in every wave of the ocean. Spirit is present. And so what I know for us right now, for every single one of us, is that we say yes to our own expansion. We say yes to our vision of a world that works for everyone. We say yes to taking part in bringing that vision to reality. We say yes to being ever more conscious of the oneness in which we all participate. We say yes to it. We feel the vibration of its power moving through the world, changing everything. Changing everything. Standing against nothing but for life, for beauty, for truth, for oneness, for love. And as I see each one of us doing this, I know that that vision that we hold of a world that really truly does work for all life is coming into form. There's no stopping it. Each one of us says yes to it, and the universe says yes right back. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. How grateful I am to remember this, to celebrate it, to call it into our conscious awareness, to be part of it. And from this place of gratitude, I simply release all of this into the law, into the infinite mind of the universe, It has already said yes to it, has already made it so. And we say together, and so it is.
And just a thread, a simple thread in this glorious web of life.
We are all just drops within a stream flowing towards an ocean of light. We may forget where we come from. We may forget where we're going to. I might not see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. I am just a seed, a blessed seed with eternity unfolding in me. And I pray that as I grow, I will reveal the love that illuminates my soul. When I remember where I come from, when I remember where I'm going to, then I can see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one.
Amen. He loves his mom. We now have an opportunity to give in support of the work of our center here. We also have an opportunity to simply count our blessings for a moment. Wow, how blessed we are. We have each other. We have the love that is here in this place. We have warm beds and running water and enough to eat and wear, and life is good. Life is so good. And so from this place of gratitude for all that is, I ask you, when the basket passes through your hands, whether you are able to give or not, to simply bless the abundance of our community so that we can continue to become all that we came here to be. And let's affirm, gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
Gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
I know that as I give, so do I receive.
I know that as I give, so do I receive.
Abundantly.
Abundantly.
And so it is.
And so it is.